Hey, what's up guys, John here. The biggest airline strike in American history has just begun, and this will change travel forever.
Flight attendants joining forces in what's being called a day of action.
Labor unions continue to negotiate with airline companies over pay.
Hundreds of flight attendants are picketing at O'Hare to demand better pay and working conditions for their industry.
A union representing roughly 100,000 workers now pushing everyone on strike across 30 cities throughout the country, demanding higher wages, better working conditions, and benefits. Very similar to what we saw in former strikes over the last 12 months with UAW and Kaiser. But when you start to look at what is happening right here, you can see one thing and one thing very, very clearly, that everything that we've ever known about travel is going to change.
There's going to be people of means who are going to travel, and then there's going to be people maybe of lesser means who might actually be able to use an Oculus or a Magic Leap or some other kind of device to travel to the same place, but from their own couch.
Those cheap flights that we've all enjoyed, going from LA to New York City for, $150 using one of these discount apps, it's been amazing. That's all gone. That's all gone. I'm going to show you what's happening right now and show you what they say the future is going to look like. And this isn't coming out today. They've been talking about this for years, about what travel will look like in 2025 and 2026, late 2024. We're moving in that direction like precision. It's like a surgery, precisely like they said. That's exactly where we're going. So if you enjoy travel, maybe domestic flights, international flights, pay very close attention to what's happening right now to position yourself and prepare yourself for this, because 99% of people won't, and those people probably won't end up traveling. So take a look at this information. Please hit the like button. YouTube will share it to educate more people about what's really going on in America's economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we would love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item in your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video and schedule a free strategy session for tomorrow, for Wednesday. Take a look at this. So thousands of flight attendants told nationwide pickets amid contract negotiations. So the union, they are representing more than 100,000 U.S. workers. This is across 30 major cities, including Seattle, Houston, and Boston. And tens of thousands of flight attendants are expected to hold pickets at major airports on Tuesday in an effort to pressure carriers to enhance their compensation and working conditions, dubbed the Worldwide Flight Attendant Day of Action. It marks the largest collective actions in the history of the profession, according to the Association of Professional Flight Attendants. So let's look at what happened with the UAW strike, the Kaiser strike. They said that they wanted higher wages, better working conditions, and benefits, right? They wanted the same exact thing. And what ultimately happened? A lot of people started getting laid off, and now they're moving more into automation, right? BMW to add humanoid bots to auto production 2 weeks ago. Even here, as the power of worker union rises, the auto industry rushes to replace workers with robots. Are you next? 1 month ago. Now, I'm going to show you why I believe this is 100% going to change everything that we know about travel. First, I'm going to show you this though, because this came out October 20th, 1984. And this is from GM Factory of the Future Will Run with Robots. And this is from the same exact union, United Automotive Workers, that said that they were supporting the workers, saying that you deserve, more wages and better conditions and, benefits. That they said, despite the potential job loss, officials for UAW said that they were supporting the project. And what's the project? GM officials said human workers would still be needed in maintenance and other tasks that require greater skills, but they conceded that far fewer production workers would be employed as the automation concepts being developed here spread throughout the company. They declined to estimate how many jobs would be eliminated. So think about how this is all kind of connected, right? That was 40 years ago talking about this. Now let's look at what they said is going to happen to travel this year. This came out March 20th of 2023. Rising airline could trigger global caps as early as this year. Rising airline traffic is expected to trigger global caps related to requirements for some carriers as early as next year, according to top airline trade group, even as the debate broadens on the effectiveness of the approach. They said the scheme seeks to cap emissions from international flights at 85% of 2019 levels under the first phase of this. Now, the first phase is starting there, but it starts to ramp up dramatically. So you have to think about this. If they're going to pay more for insurance, they're going to pay more for flight attendants, they're going to pay more for staff, the prices are only going to go one way, up. Prices are going to go up dramatically. Every single year that this increases, less people are going to be able to afford to travel. That's what's happening. I mean, even Bloomberg came out saying, hey, this is only going to be a $5 trillion cleanup. Airline passengers will be forced to pay $5 trillion cleanup. Like, this is what's going to happen. The aviation sector plans to pass along the cost of decarbonization could add hundreds of dollars to the price of someone's flights. This is Bloomberg. Now, I'm not being dramatic. When we look at rising inflation, we look at the rising cost of living, and many people, including myself, conditioned in school to believe that a $100,000 a year salary, that was you made it. That was that you made it moment. But now with inflation, $100,000 a year salary doesn't really get you much, right? Especially if you live in a city. So an expensive city, San Francisco, LA, Oakland, like any of these cities, you're burning through $100,000 with very little effort. Now with what's actually going to happen with inflation, the rising cost of everything, is the new $100,000 is $1 million. That's what's going to happen. The new $100,000 is $1 million. Look at this. So they even say it right here.
There's going to be people of means who are going to travel, and then there's going to be people maybe of lesser means who might actually be able to use an Oculus or a Magic Leap or some other kind of device to travel to the same place, but from their own couch.
Yeah, right? So that's actually what's going to happen. So when you look at this, it says airlines don't need to show this until next year, right? So everything is kind of ramping up to this right now. I personally love to travel. I love to travel. And I'm sure you do as well. So you just want to make sure your goals are in line with, your planning is in line with your goals. So you look at this, they say that the research found that 56% of travelers seeking options will make travel easier in 2023 using a combination of technology, right? So this is 2022. The report predicts that electric aircraft could come, they've even, some experts believe significant portion of business travel will never return permanently, replaced with virtual alternatives, right? You start to look at this, this is what's actually going to be happening. How to travel more sustainably in 2024. I'm a big believer in the value of spending time outdoors and the power of sustainable travel to a positive effect on communities. The pandemic taught us people will always want to go to new places, but it also showed how valuable it is when mass tourism pauses and we allow the earth to heal. Any vision for travel in the future that does not have climate at the top of the agenda is short-sighted and irresponsible at all levels. Governments, tour operators, and individuals, we must be realistic about the fact that we'll have to change the way in which we travel. Like, this is Home and Garden, right? Home and Garden saying this. Look at this. Air travel is, of course, one of the drivers of this. In its own right, this is commercial air travel, right? Every single travel we know could be on the brink of extinction, the independent. So you look at all these things, look, it's going to be extinction by 16 years from now. So you connect the dots. Every single year it's going to get more and more and more expensive. When they say that, we want to make everything, better for everybody, it's only going to be better for, people that are, ambitious, that have real big goals, that are really making the smart moves now. They're not, pretending like everything is going to go back to normal. They realize that to eat healthy food, really, really good quality food, it's going to be a lot more, plain and simple. If you want to live in a, in a nice house, the insurance is going to be a lot more because it's probably closer to the beach. It's probably closer to one of these areas. If you want to do certain things, it's going to be more. So you have to realize that if inflation went up, let's say 20 or 30% over the last 3 or 4 years, and that's conservative, right? If that number went up 20, 30%, and interest rates on credit cards are now at around 26 to 27%. In 2007, right before the great financial crisis, it was 12%. So that doesn't mean that, the payback is twice, like you're paying, twice the amount they pay back. No, the payback is going to be like 7 or 8 times. If you use a credit card interest calculator and you go through the numbers, you will see that it's going to be a lot harder. And so what's the point? The point is that if you're putting inflation at 20% or 30% on a credit card, rolling it into a 28 or 30% interest payment schedule, it's going to be nearly impossible to get out of debt. So being really, really smart about money right now, being smart about how much interest you're actually paying to borrow that money, looking for alternatives to get out of debt, looking at opportunities online. There's going to be a lot of ways to make a lot of money online. You could, start an online business, maybe even, on YouTube or on Amazon or whatever the business model that you have a competitive advantage on. but looking at things carefully, realizing that $1 million today isn't that much money. And we give trillions of dollars to other countries all the time, it seems like. So, I mean, what's $1 million today? What's 2 million? What's 3 million? Right? It's almost all relative because the money almost has zero value. They just make it up out of thin air and just push it out into the economy. So, what do you think about this entire situation? If you want to go to Italy, you want to start traveling like that, I could almost promise you that that flight might be 10 grand, 20 grand in the next 10 years, 12 years. Like, we're going to be moving in this direction where prices of everything just going to skyrocket. We're not going back to a 2% inflation if you enjoy, quality things like, healthy eating and travel and things like that. What do you think about this entire situation? Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. Do you think we're walking into the change that travel has never before seen? I mean, this is going to be a complete restructuring of everything that we know about tourism. Drop below, we'll have a conversation about this. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself, maybe you want funding for a business, maybe you want to invest, maybe you have a plan, make sure your credit is in line with your goals. So if you have a late payment, for example, that can sit on your credit report for 7 years and drop your credit score a whopping 180 points. If you have a charge-off, any type of negative or derogatory item on your credit report, book a free strategy session by clicking the link in the description just below this video. We'd love to give you a free consultation to see how we can help you. Catch you next video.